Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar. My name is now Laura Sinclair, and I'm going to be working with Chris Randolph on SDS2's integration with Tekla EPM. During this first part, I'm going to go ahead and build the model in the background, but I'm also going to talk about the different things that SDS2 can offer inside of the model. So many are familiar with SDS2 for the detailing, but that's not the only thing that the model offers. There's a lot of information stored in there, so you want to make sure that you take advantage of all of it to benefit your company. So there's multiple ways to use the model. Now the erector could assign load lifts, put in the crane that they use, show the liftable members, and that way there's no actual guessing out in the model. You know what members that the crane can actually lift, and then you can assign those load lifts. So that will save a lot of time actually out in the field. Now the estimating, that's going to be what we're focusing on today with working with Tekla EPM, but that's not new for our customers. The customers a lot of times will do this estimating portion. Being able to quickly get out an estimate for a bid will allow for more opportunities to win work. So the CNC files for the shop will come from the model, and we'll be able to produce all the geometry that makes up that piece of steel. So there's a lot of different configurations and setup options that you can do to customize this for your shop. And now approval. So let's say I don't do any of the detailing, but I'm just the checker. The approver can then use this tool, or there's a lot of other tools in there, select that piece of steel, set it to a status of maybe held, the reason maybe why it's held, or I can set it even to the approved date that I want this to be. Then I can assign that different colors in the model, and it's very powerful to see. I can also send those statuses out to, let's say, Tekla EPM. Detailing is our most popular function. You can create drawings from the members in the model, and it's going to take less time modifying than any other software. A huge benefit that we have to offer is the templates portion. So let's say that you always had a dimension that you were deleting off of one drawing. That's okay for one drawing, but let's say you have 1,000 of those drawings. You can create a rule or have us create specific rules, and that dimension's never going to show up on that drawing. It just saves a lot of time. As you can see, while I was going through all the different functions that SDS2 has to offer, I was able to build this model in the background with all of the automated connection design. It made sure that we have erectability checks, and it made sure it was constructible. I can then send this out to an EM11 file, select all of my members that I want to include in that file, and then I can pass this off to Chris, and he can import this into Tekla EPM.
Next, we're going to import the data from the IFC that came from the SDS2 model into our estimate. Now, in the past, we would enter everything in estimating, or maybe import a KISS file, or a spreadsheet, maybe even a SYS2 file. But with the IFC, we'll get more labor data, and we'll have a more direct relationship with the model, as we'll see here in a few moments. Now we'll import the IFC file that was created in SDS2. First, we go to the import menu and under estimating, select IFC. Once we select the IFC file, the import begins. Now, if you haven't yet created the estimate, EPM will prompt you to create it during the import. You can enter costs and other information at this point that will affect the estimate, or you can come back to it later. The distance to the job site, shop drawing cost, cleaning and paint, or a few examples that you can enter here that will affect the cost of your project. Once we're done here, we'll click Save and continue with the import. Now, during the import, you'll be given the option to have EPM create a Trimble Connect project and link this project to it. You'll also be prompted to have EPM upload this IFC to the Connect project. Now we'll open our project in estimating. We have the navigation tree on the left, where you can instantly filter by a shape or by a specific size or grade of that shape. In the display fields, you can use any column to sort the data by clicking the header. I'll stay sorted by page to keep my assemblies together. There's also the summary grid at the top of the screen with a quick summary of quantities, man hours, weights, etc. of what's selected, what's displayed, and of the project totals. If you select a line item and look at the additional labor at the lower right, you'll see details of the labor that will be done on that item, including holes to be punched, the hole sizes, weld details like thickness and length. In this example, I'll select this complete assembly, and notice how the estimated man hours to produce this assembly are displayed. But also in the labor details, we can see those hours broken out by labor group. Now with Trimble Connect as a visualization tool for Tekla EPM, we have a whole new world of possibilities. In EPM, I'll select a line item, right-click, and select the selected model option. That will select and zoom to that item in the model. In a few moments, the model opens in Trimble Connect, and Connect will zoom in to that item in the model. You can also enable auto-selected model, so you simply have to click a line item and Trimble Connect will immediately select and zoom to that item, whether it's an assembly or a submaterial. This also works in the other direction. You can select an item in the model, and in EPM choose Select From Model or Enable Auto Select From Model. So any item or combination of selected items will be selected in EPM. This can be really helpful to revise multiple items and to make sure labor is covered in your takeoff. You also have options to isolate in the model based on what's selected in EPM. So you can take a closer look and verify all your additional labor is taken into account in Tekla EPM. You can also use the Model Viewer interface to colorize the Trimble Connect model based on data in EPM, like category, subcategory, sequence, page number, labor code, production code, finish, or status. Next, we'll run a report. EPM includes a lot of pre-made reports. Some show the same information, just in a different format. Some show more information for something specific, like labor details or paint details. For this example, we'll look at the summary information to Excel. This report presents a very detailed view of our estimate, including material cost, labor, job site freight cost, and paint cost. And because it's in Excel, it's easy to add any additional information or to make some final adjustments. The price per pound and price per ton is included, as well as the total price of the bid details.
While Chris is working in Tekla EPM and starting the estimate, I can also be in the model at the same time and starting updating statuses. I know that this truss needs to be reviewed by my engineer, so I can come in here and set the status to held, the date that I want to set that for, and the reasoning why. Then I can send that out as an RFI to my engineer. He can take a look at it and we can update the statuses again. The statuses can be very powerful inside of SDS2. So as you can see, I have my status already set to held. Once I have all of my connections set for my beams, I can submit this for approval. Just select all of my beams. I already set my status down below to show up and set my date for when I want to send this out. I then can create a list of those beams for later use for when I want to load them on sheets or set my members for detailing. The last status that I'm going to apply is release for fabrication. I've already gone through the approval process. They've already had their drawings checked. So now I can release these columns for fabrication and they can actually go out in the field. I can send all of these statuses out to Tekla EPM through my full transfer. Before I do that, I'm just going to save exactly like how I did for my beams. I'm going to save my columns just because I know that those are the columns that I want to detail next. Now that I'm ready, I'm going to detail those members by loading those lists that I just created. So I have my columns there. Go ahead and detail those, and then I'm going to detail my beams too, and all of the sub-material that's attached to those members. Once that's finished, I can go into the 2D portion. So the 2D portion is just going to be all of the cleanup work. I can load these on sheets really quick. There's always different ways to do things inside of SDS2. I can clean up my details if there's any that are needed, or I can place them on sheets first. When I place them on sheets, it's just a auto-loading feature. I can load multiple details onto a sheet at once. In this case, I'm just going to do one at a time, and I can always add these manually later on too. Once those are loaded onto sheets, I'm just going to pop into the drawing editor to quickly look at the details. So they're already renamed 1B1. They will be renamed inside of the model too and on any sheets. And this applies also for erection views. I have my bill of material that's going to always update every time that I detail a member, and then we can see that these are all on sheets. Now that I've taken a look at my drawings, I'm just going to send this out to Tekla EPM as well. So this is going to be like my second transfer. I can do a full transfer that's going to include PDFs of these sheets. I'm also going to include all of my CNC files along with the statuses that I want to include to send to Tekla EPM. You will want to locate what members you want to send out. So I just want to locate the members that I just put in here. I don't want to include my horizontal brace, but I will include the beams and columns that I just worked on.
All right, now we can import the XML from SDS2 along with the CNC and the drawings. So in this one import, Tekla EPM will create your production control job and project management job if they haven't already been created. It will import your material data, your CNC files, and your drawings, and let you map certain data fields from SDS2 to EPM. Once the import is done, we can take a look at project management and see our drawings. The F in the file column shows that there is a document attached. You can double click one of these lines and open the drawing in whatever your default viewer is. These are PDFs, so it's opening in my PDF viewer. If you were using DWGs, you could open them in AutoCAD or whatever DWG viewer you've got. While we're in here, I'm going to go ahead and mark these drawings as approved. Now we'll go into production control, and we see our bill of materials, and we go in here and we see our CNC files. Similar to the drawings, if you have a CNC viewer, you can open those CNC files in whatever DSTV viewer you have. So now from that one import, we have all the information we need to combine materials for optimal ordering. We have the CNC, we'll use that to route to the machines to be processed. And your shop manager has the data and tools to route the job through the workstations in the shop. Now I'm not going to show all of that. I'm going to simplify the process for this demo because we pretty much just want to show how we're bringing stuff in from SDS2 and how we're sending stuff back. And in a little bit, we'll look again to see how we can use the IFC model from SDS2 to work with our EPM data using Trimble Connect. And we've already marked drawings as approved, but what if we're doing a model approval process? I'm going to go in here real quick and just mark those same pieces in my production job, mark those as approved, as if I got a list from the engineer after doing a model approval. Also, since I have the most efficient shop you've ever seen, I'm going to run this steel through my stations. I won't complete everything just yet, so we can look at different statuses in the model. I'll cut everything. And weld most of it. And then I'll send some of it through paint and QC. Now we'll look at that status with the Trimble Connect model viewer. I've already linked to the Connect project and added the IFC model. With the EPM model interface, we can view status from EPM displayed in color in the model. Status like category, sequence. And in particular, in this case, we want to look at production status to see what's been done in the shop. I can also use select or auto select in the model, or select or auto select from the model. This is a really useful tool for tasks like last minute sequence changes, select an area in the model, select from the model, and set a sequence. You can also use the status share tool to share select statuses with users that don't have Tekla EPM, but have access to the Connect project. Now I'm going to cut to a version of my project that has all of my stations complete, and then load the trucks. And we can view that status to see what's been loaded and what's actually been shipped. And finally, we'll export an update to send back to SDS2. You can save import types with your mapping selections, for example, for different projects or different detailers. This is also an XML, similar to what we brought in from SDS2 earlier.
After receiving the XML file from Chris, I can then go back to my full transfer file, and I just set my approval status just so you can see everything's still not reviewed. I go and browse for that XML file that he sent me, and you can see that my statuses are starting to update. Now that my fabrication date is complete, my approval status is now set from not reviewed to approved. My green color now is approved, and then we can also change this to maybe fabrication since the fabrication is completed. If I come in here and just see the status for this beam that was updated, the fabrication complete date has been updated, and if I wanted to set a status color for actual ship date as well. Thank you very much for joining our webinar. Chris and I will now take a look at some of your questions and answer them. If you have any questions afterwards, please contact your support rep.